And I compared more effective and less effective programs across 5 countries for UNICEF. They very nicely gathered the data for me. And these are what I found to be the necessary factors. So today I'm just going to look at the bottom. Coordinated band I mentioned, credibility of effort. You all understand credibility. Finally, change social norms by discussion of moral norms, where there's discussion of local values and appeal and international human rights in the local vernacular, to borrow a phrase from Sally Engel Mary. So the classes, there are about 1 in 6. They're carried out in about 1 in 6 villages in an area. You can see there's planning here. It's an empowering curriculum, always in the local language. If people have had any encounter with education before, it's always French language education. There's a core group, 1% of the population, where the first 22 sessions of the 60-session program, which goes on to do health and hygiene, problem solving, literacy, numeracy, all the usual adult education stuff, is on local values and international human rights. So here's a mixed adult class of about 20 out of a village averaging about 800. There'll also be an adolescent class in the same village. And you can see me right there. Yeah, mixed gender, yeah. And this is just an image of one of these classes, and I'm going to be giving you a taste of the content of it. So here I say, that these deliberations are across several programs that are hatched in small groups for 1 to 3 years and then diffused through the whole population. In trial and error, it's been learned that the core group works, and it takes a long time. And so here's an example. This is the most motivating session, session 14, the right to be free of discrimination. And this is like less than 1% of that 2-hour session. Is it useful to call on everybody to build our ideal city? Yes, it's useful. How? Well, union is strength, and everything, you might notice that this differs from Plato. Union is strength, and everything to have the support of all is a good thing. Good. Now, Gero, if we want to build this city, should one call on everybody or choose from one class of people? The woman says, no, since the city belongs to all of its inhabitants, everybody there must take part. And a man adds, to go forward, it's necessary that everyone takes part in it, the ministers, the imams, the leaders without exception. And a woman says, men and women must help one another. So this is going on for, 100 hours, these values deliberations. So then he shows the image that I included in my paper, or she shows. There's an international convention. Oh no, it's a different image. It's the one that illustrates the different international human rights instruments relating to women and children. There's about 7 of them. There's an international convention on eliminating all forms of discrimination against women. The world met to adopt this on behalf of women. This is not an injustice. A woman is weak. She needs help. By that, he means more both weak and oppressed. I'm not going to pretend he only means oppressed. She needs help. In the world, a lot of women are victims of injustice. Even here, one rarely sees a woman who owns fields. Only men own fields, cars, and houses. They're the leaders. Even when one invites them to a meeting, women don't speak. So what does this convention bring to women? So I won't embarrass you two. If you were students, I would embarrass you and make you say the lines. But the man says, they can now discuss and exchange ideas reasonably. Remember what I said, deliberation, a reciprocal exchange of reason. This phrase comes up all the time. Good, someone else, what can it bring to you? Well, a woman, if she knows her rights and duties, she's effective. Yeah, she's marketing it, right? She can run the household better. She'll be a better wife, a better citizen. Good, someone else, what can it bring you? Oh, you'll be able to work without constraint. You know that usually, typically, the woman needs permission. 5 minutes. I started at 12, I started at 3:41. I'm sorry?
My watch is 5 minutes fast.
Oh, okay. So I have 5 minutes left. Okay, let's see. Oh, well, okay. Oh, you'll be able to work without constraint. And then I skipped a lot here. How can one fight against injustice? People in this class, when they come at the first session, a lot of the most specific people want is how to present yourself in public. The men, including the men, and even more the women, and they're learning how to do that. One must sensitize everyone so that they understand. When there's when there's a problem, who are people to call together? See, you don't have to do it yourself. If there's a problem, you call people together. You go to the traditional power structures. Well, the elders, the imams, the local government officials. Wait a second. The imams, the elders, the local government officials, and the whole community. Because now everyone is equal, right? And here's one, so I'm going to save time. This is like for all you deliberationists, here they're talking about what are the advantages of deliberation. And here, this has worked in Somalia. What happened, with respect to rural development problems and adverse gender norms for women, there's 50 or 100 problems. If you have 50 or 100 programs, but look, if you change the kind of the highest level norm and establish a norm of equality, you have somebody saying, yeah, I'm going to go back and we're going to work on communities' rejection of vaccination, unhygienic conditions, exclusion of women in the decision process, violence against women and children, discrimination between clans. And it's going to come from within. So the deliberation in the classes, people don't so much. It's somewhat didactic, or better, it's maieutic. If those of you who, know your, well, sorry to put it that way, in maieusis in Plato it's the midwife who gives birth to something. The midwife doesn't have the baby. The midwife helps bring it out. So the class, I think, is maieusis, bringing out what's already implicit. So they don't deliberate, they learn how to deliberate, but they go, pretty much from the beginning, they go out and start deliberating at first with their friends. They have to adopt a learner, they tell their friends and families. Pretty soon they're having a bit larger meetings. People find this interesting, by the way. I said, why do you do it? It's very interesting. I'm a farmer. I get together and talk to these people with about all these cool things. Yeah, there's frictions, there's variability, of course. And then, when issues start to develop, come to the fore over time, you hear well, let's talk to the religious leaders in the area about this issue, see? And then there are inter-village meetings and consultations, deliberations. And then finally there's an inter-village meeting where, in this one, they're organizing a public declaration of abandonment. And for you anthropologists, this is an age-graded group, so everybody in the age grade wears the same clothes. It's quite striking, because it's like clone society. There are about 10 different groups, each of them dressed differently, but within the group identically. And I said, dancing to close a meet. I wrote this before Arjun's paper, because Dancing to close the meeting is deliberation. What does dancing say? Dancing says, it doesn't say we are cosmic one. It says we are a community of reciprocal expectations that has to make decisions together. And after these difficult discussions we've had, we still like one another. And we give the two bab lots of gifts to take home, like the beads and the calabash. And then here's a public declaration, about 1,000 or 2,000 people. It starts at 9 and it goes on all the afternoon until there's an actual declaration of a ban. There's a moment of convention shift. It's preceded by a long list of whereases, reasons, this time really formal reasons. And then when the woman brings her hand down that says, we hereby abandon it, as if by magic, it's over because it depends on reciprocal expectations. So if everybody sees that everybody else is stopping, they're confident that the change is effective and stable. And we know that because in one area, everything was done except for the declaration, which had, and part of the pre-declaration activity is to gather conditional commitments from every family, or every family that's willing to do it. It had to be, the declaration had to be canceled because a snap presidential election was called. And so Tosan said, well, let's save the money, and everybody's already agreed. And everybody said, no, it won't work. It won't work. Everyone has to see. It's not a narcissistic indulgence. It's not. Okay, I'm just going to show a couple of pictures. I'm going to skip the narrative. And this is another group, KMG, in Ethiopia. I have nothing to do with them. I've never visited them. I don't even know if they know I exist. I'm going to meet the person from there next week. I have no idea whether they're exposed to any of my ideas. But the same thing, either indigenously or through policy travel, happened there. And, Thunderbolt, publicized marriage of an uncut girl. The first uncut girl ever is married in a public rally declaring, I'm happy to be whole, learn from me. 300 uncut bridesmaids wear the same affirmation. So I say, this is deliberation. Why is it deliberation? What reason, I'll just turn to the professor for a second. What reason are they giving here?
Makes them happy.
Well, that's one reason they're giving is, see, if you don't get cut, you can still get a good husband. That's the reason they're giving. Because it's linked to marriageability. That's the... and this is KMG, the first whole body celebration, 80,000 people. Now this is deliberation, and this is a giving of reasons. Why is it a giving of reasons? Because the practice depends on reciprocal expectations in the community, and we see that this huge amount of people are willing to give it up. And by the way, this is not the only activity. This is confirming a whole ladder of bottom-up declarations to this huge district-wide one. And this is deliberation, and this is the giving of reasons. Children are lovable. Hey, the great exhibition of horsemanship skill, that shows that the coolest people are for this. And the elders support it. And who are these? These are politicians. Isn't this how you want politicians to look? Scared? Those politicians are saying, well, I know, in America they say the Supreme Court follows the election returns. Unfortunately, they don't anymore, but those politicians are following the election returns. I'll stop there.
Thanks, Gerry. Our first discussant is Paromita Sanya.